Where do I rank Curry all time? I mean, he's the greatest of our generation. That's where I rank him. As a Sixers fan, how do you feel about Ben? I don't know how to say your name, Ayal. Maybe that's how you say it, but I'm serious. I'm not trolling, but how do you think I feel about Ben? And what I mean by that is how should I feel about Ben? I don't know how I feel about Ben. It just is what it is, right? I'm actually more confused than I am angry or upset. I've never been a big Ben Simmons fan, but I've been a Ben Simmons believer in that I still think he's a great player. He is a great player, and I don't think people understand that. So let me just say this. I don't like how the media is conveying it, that I spent all last year defending Ben and saying, yes, he is a legitimate all-star on the defensive side of the ball. And people were criticizing me for that. But now that and everyone was just saying Ben Simmons sucks, but now that he's gone and not playing for us, it's, the Sixers are screwed. Y'all have no chance. So I don't understand how you all want me to feel. As a Sixers fan, let's just start and so I think one thing y'all know about me too is I like talking about facts. I don't like bringing emotions into it. So let's talk facts then. Number one, none of this happens if Ben Simmons plays better, right? So let's start with that. Number two, none of this happens if the Sixers don't lose. Did we lose because of Ben Simmons? Yes. Did we lose because Embiid had 8 turnovers in the last game? Yes. Did we lose because Embiid had a torn meniscus? Yes. Did we lose because Doc Rivers ran an all-bench lineup in Game 7 of the second round for 15 minutes? Yes. So all of those things play into it. I thought Doc Rivers's comments at the end of the game were really dumb. No matter what he meant, it did make Ben Simmons angry, so that sucks. But if I look at Ben Simmons, I'm saying you have a max contract. Figure that crap out. Don't sit here and be angry. Figure that out, So I don't feel comfortable talking about the mental health situation on stream because I feel like it could get me canceled. So I will say that I think it's unfortunate that the mental health angle didn't come up until his money was on the line. But I will also say if there is a real mental health situation that needs to be addressed, and I'll leave that there. I'll leave that there. But I think it's unfortunate that the mental health back pain issues only arose when he was not when his paycheck was in jeopardy, and I'm not going to comment further on that. Now, Waze, let me say this too. You guys saw how critical I've been of Doc Rivers, but I've never said fire Doc. Did you notice I'm critical of Doc, but I never said fire him? Yeah, you ever notice I said that? I've never said fire him because the reason I've never said fire him is because I don't know how much better or how much a different coach changes our situation. And this is me, a 28-year-old. You can call me an old head or a young person that doesn't know. I don't know. I get called both at my age. I don't think coaching in the NBA matters almost at all. And I mean that. I don't think coaching matters. I don't think Steve Kerr's a good coach. I don't think Steve Nash is a good coach. I think they are people. I think they are leaders of people. And if Doc Rivers can keep that locker room motivated like he has actually, I think he's doing enough. I just think, let me rephrase that real quick. Let me bring it back real quick. I think that continuously changing coaches is more dangerous than a coach knowing or not knowing what they're doing. ways rotations and game plans matter. No, they don't. Rotations, sure. Game plans, no. There's no game plans. How do you game plan Joel Embiid? He's 7'2". Don't let him do 7'2" stuff. How do you game plan LeBron? He's LeBron. He's the game plan. There's no game plan anymore. Drive, kick for three. That's the game plan. So I'm not big on that. The guys aren't sitting down. Let's game plan for LeBron. Nope. He's like, yo, bro, it's LeBron. He's gonna drive at you, try and stop him. I'm sorry. That's just where we're at these days. In which way was the 2020 Lakers ring fake? If you weren't here at the start of this stream, I just was talking about the atmosphere. It was not an NBA atmosphere. You had guys like TJ Warren who looked like Michael Jordan in his prime. It wasn't an NBA atmosphere. It wasn't an NBA mentality. That's just where I stand on it. And again, like I said, I never said it didn't count. I never said it doesn't count, but to make an argument like LeBron James tried to make at the end of the bubble and say that this was the hardest ring ever won, I just thought it was just disrespectful to the game. Anybody that watched that tournament, that Heat team had no business in the finals. That's literally laughable. We saw what happened to the Sixers. You saw what happened to the Celtics. We saw what happened to the Bucks. That's not an NBA. Atmosphere. So that's where I stand on that. Where do I rank Curry all time? I mean, he's the greatest of our generation. That's where I rank him. Love how as soon as I say that, the music stops. Hey, I'm not afraid. Again, let me just repeat myself. I said what I said. Waves, you didn't hear me. You didn't hear me stutter. I just told you I'm not afraid to stand on a hill alone. When I watch what Curry, like listen, and this is my view on basketball. Y'all know my views on basketball. You can put a stat sheet in front of me and it doesn't mean anything to me because I watch basketball. When I watch the things that LeBron does and then I go watch the things that Steph Curry does, I look over here. I just think he's more incredible. He's just more amazing to me. It's a personal view. I love watching LeBron James. I love his game, but the things that Steph does at his size, he's the most incredible basketball player I've ever witnessed. So that's just me personally. You can talk about the rings and some people want to hold that over one guy and not hold it over another. But I think if Steph Curry was willing to go everywhere across the country, that would give him the best chance of winning a ring. What he did in his city means a lot to me. In one place that gives him brownie points for me. So yeah, he's in my opinion, Steph Curry is the greatest of our generation. He's the best that I got to see the entire career of. I didn't get to see Michael Jordan's entire career. You know what I mean? So I didn't even get to see Allen Iverson's entire career. So yeah, he's the best player that I've ever seen start to finish. So I know people are a little uncomfortable by that, but it is what it is. Yeah, Allen Iverson is the reason I watch basketball to this day. Yep, absolutely. But for me, it's really big about how did you leave the game? What is your legacy? And how did you impact and how did you change the game? I think LeBron might be a little bit more iconic than Steph, but I think Steph had a bigger impact on the game than LeBron. In a good way, like LeBron player mobility and all that stuff, I don't think is a great. I'm sorry, I don't want to say this the wrong way, but I don't think that's a great legacy to have. I think some of LeBron's actions hurt the game more than it helped the game. So that's kind of where I make that distinction. But everybody's got their own viewpoint of that. And hey, I gotta push back on that a little bit. How much of the expectations on LeBron did he put on himself? Right? Did Steph Curry put a tattoo on him and say I'm the chosen one and I'm better than Michael Jordan, so I'm gonna wear his number? and do all that stuff? Did Steph Curry ever call himself the greatest shooter of all time? I gotta push back on that. I have to hold him to his standard. I have to. I wouldn't even be being fair to y'all if I didn't. You know, I can't credit LeBron for pressure that he put on himself, right? We would, in and of itself, that's the definition of fabrication, right? So Sports Illustrated didn't put that tattoo on his body, and Sports Illustrated didn't melt down, and Sports Illustrated didn't sit down and call himself the GOAT. You know, Sports Illustrated didn't do that. I gotta push back on that. I have to. Sports Illustrated did not call LeBron James the GOAT. He called himself that. LeBron James was okay. So, but ways, I'm not giving you that, because doesn't LeBron build his own teams? No, nobody wants to talk about that Cavs team. That nobody will talk about that Cavs team that LeBron built himself, right? With, y'all remember that team with Rodney Hood and Derrick Rose and Dwayne Wade? Nobody wanted to talk about that team. All the trades that LeBron forced that team to make, going to get Jordan Clarkson, going to get Larry Nance. Didn't they go get Larry Nance? Not a soul wants to talk about that team that LeBron forced that team to use all of their assets to build for him to make a championship run, for him to leave that team in hell the next year then left. Not a soul. So don't talk to me about his teammates when this man's been handpicking them. They just redid this man's team for the Lakers again. What if Michael Jordan and Scottie and they just, kept refilling for them? That's not basketball. So no, when you talk about the expectations, no, you don't get credit for beating the expectations when you call yourself the GOAT. No, you don't get credit for getting to the finals with scrubs when you built the team. Nah, you gotta go somewhere else with that. If you want resources and all that good stuff, then you should have kept Andrew Wiggins, you know what I mean, and built that team from scratch. I would have had more respect than that, but no, you didn't want to play with Wiggins. You wanted Kevin Love. You needed another all-star. You know what I mean? So no, I can't give that away. I can't give y'all that one. I can't. I hate that the fact that I'm the only person willing to take that stance. People will log on here and call me a LeBron hater because I'm just speaking facts. Nothing that I just said was fabricated, so that, I push back very heavily against those narratives, and I'll bring the same energy with Steph. Steph doesn't have his legacy if not for the team that he has around him. So I keep it 100 across the board on that, but I can't just, couldn't you say, I feel alone on those takes. I really do, because I don't see anybody on TV saying what I just said. I'm not a LeBron hater. I'm not, but I won't let people fabricate. If you're a hater, that means you number one, only speak on the bad. I don't do that. And number two, I think haters, like, the goal of haters is for people to see LeBron negatively. And that's not my goal, but it is my goal for people to see what is in front of us objectively. You know what I mean? So, like, for instance, if you're a LeBron hater, the number one thing the guy said was he beat the expectations. And so I don't want people to think he didn't beat expectations. I just want to clarify that the expectations that he beat may not have been as significant if he didn't come out and call himself the GOAT, call himself the chosen one. That's all. I don't want people to see him in a negative way, but like, as we're getting to the point now where there's younger kids coming into the league, they don't know this stuff. You know what I mean? They don't know. So I'm not trying to make people see LeBron in a negative light, but my God, like, sometimes it feels like we're trying to build a superhero movie and not what actually happened. LeBron, and let me say it even better. LeBron's legacy is good enough to stand on his own. LeBron don't need to compare himself to Michael Jordan. He could say, I'm a better, if Michael Jordan, I mean, I wouldn't like if he said it, but he could get up and say, I'm a better passer. Michael Jordan never was. You don't need to say that I became the GOAT when the league assisted me in beating the Warriors. You don't have to say that. You can say, hey, look, I built my team and we gave them everything we got, but in 2018 or wherever that year when we got there, that those guys were too much. And leave it at that. And I hate, and I'll go on the record, when you talk about stuff I don't like LeBron, that I'm the GOAT crap is whack. And everyone said about Michael Jordan, yeah, he feels like he's the GOAT, but he never got on TV and said that. He said it's disrespectful to take everything everyone has ever done in the league and say I did it better. What are we talking about? So that's all it is. I don't like being called a LeBron hater. I just think that's not accurate, and that's not my goal, is for people to see LeBron negatively. But I will say, I bring the heat a little bit about Bron, and maybe a little more than some other people are willing to, and that's okay. But I just, want to always make sure my intentions are, people will understand the intent, I would say. I just, I don't want it to get to the point where it's like, oh, if you're, I mean, look, put it this way. There's still people that think Oscar Robertson and Will are better, and Kareem are better than Michael Jordan, right? I don't think it should be a point where it's like, I think what is amazing to everyone is different. So I don't think it's a point that you should say like, oh, just because you don't think player X is the GOAT, the reason behind that is you're hating. I'm like, no. If someone says, yo, I personally think Kareem is better than Michael, my first question is, how old are you and why do you think that? That's what I would like to know. Like, that's a conversation. Not, oh, well, you just don't like Michael Jordan because you're a hater. Like, no, that's not like at all, So if I say like, just I'm incredibly impressed by Steph and what he's been able to do at his size and the way he left the game and is leaving the game, that it shouldn't. No one should make the correlation, oh, it's just because you hate LeBron James, because that's not, that's not what's going on.